Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, May 2nd, 4:34 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in an uptrend from that follow through day. And if we take a look at the trend gauge over here on the right side, market leaders, firm green arrow, and they just continue to inch higher, act really well, and a handful of leaders as well. We struggled to narrow down to 21 names last weekend, and that list continues to grow. Short term, all major indexes are trading above the rising 21 EMA. Medium term, we're moving that up to neutral. The S&P and the Nasdaq are holding above the 50-day moving average, and then long term still trading below that 200-day moving average. The Nasdaq got right up there today. The S&P still a percent or two below. What happened today? Well, the S&P 500 marks the ninth green day in a row, and this is the longest win streak since 2004. So we're talking 2 decades, which is unbelievable. Final numbers 21 over 21 list up 2.17%, 19 green, 2 red, Big 8 up 1.46%, RG8 up 2.43%, 60/40 stock and bond up 0.84%, GROTECTION up 1.17%, and TurboTection up 0.79%. As always, we'll get into the inter-asset correlation. And first chart, S&P 500, right? Two closes back above the 50-day moving average. You have the 8 that's crossed up above the 21, both rising. Going to get back through that 5,500 level soon, so should act as a good support zone. And then again, 50 days still moving relatively sharply lower, but price is holding above, so watch that level. And then again, coming into the 200-day moving average as well. And today, we just kind of found resistance at 5,700 today, gapped up on economic data, trended up, found some resistance at 5,700, but solid mid-range close on the day. Take a look at the weekly, back above the 10-week. 40-week is kind of starting to hook back up a little bit, so we'll see. But, like I said, the longest win streak since 2004. That is pretty crazy. So next order of business going into next week is this 200-day moving average, and this certainly is a lockout rally. Many people think, there's two ways we could just, well, there's a couple ways. We could reject this 200-day hard and roll back over. We could come back in, build a higher low, let that 8 EMA catch up, flag, break through, or we could just continue locking out. You never know. We're not here to guess. We're here to interpret the action and trade accordingly. And we are about 2.5% above the 8 EMA here. So maybe pull back, consolidate, build some higher lows. We do have FOMC next week as well. RSP, very good action as well. Just breaking out of this little consolidation and back above the 50-day. QQQ coming back into the 200-day as well. 50-day still sloping down, but you have the 8 above the 21. So you have the 200-day above, and then you also have this 500 level, which was kind of this breakdown off this failed breakout into a breakdown. And now the Qs are 3.2% above the 8 EMA. So again, very similar to S&P 500. Going into next week, couple scenarios that we are watching. Mag 7, good strength here, despite some weakness from Apple earnings, along with Amazon was pretty lackluster. Dow Jones Industrial Average getting back above the 50-day moving average, 200 days next. Mid caps again, nice, breaking out of this flag really nicely and back above the 50-day. Russell 2000, very similar setup as well. ARC getting back above the 200-day, minor relative strength there. FFTY leaders still below the 200-day moving average. So again, still, there are some great leaders, but this is still below the 200-day. So if this gets back up, we could get that next leg, next win for some of the leaders. VIX continues to leak lower, 22.68 close, really good. And like we've been mentioning, once we saw that VIX start to roll off, the volatility has died down. Leaders are just kind of riding the shorter term averages higher and just and just much better than when the VIX was living above 30, seeing 2, 3, 4, 5% intraday ranges on the indexes, along with individual stocks. The dollar trying to UNR this 100 level here. Gold relative weakness as equities have been showing as equities have been bouncing. This one's sitting at the 21 after this kind of parabolic exhaustion, right? Hell of a move here on gold, so could pull back and digest, but not really as strong leading for now. Gold stocks, similar thing as well. Silver, relative weakness versus gold. Bitcoin, relative strength, continues to act super well. Coming on the right, up the right side of this chart and building out this handle here. Great strength there. Bonds back below the 200-day. TLT, same thing. No man's land and rates. Undercut and reclaim of the 50-day and falling through today. All right, that's the inter-asset correlation. We will take a look at the tail of the tape. See, percent of stocks above the 5-day moving average getting into that overbought area, and that would coincide with that cooling off, and then us just getting a flag consolidation below the 200-day on the indexes. That would be pretty constructive. NAM back up to 60, pretty big jump, and then AAII bears are still pretty prevalent. News today, we had the non-farm payrolls. They came in at 177,000 versus 130,000 consensus, and that's what fueled the pop. Along with overnight, there was news that came out that popped the futures nicely, and it was China says currently evaluating possible U.S. trade talks per Bloomberg. That's what kicked off the overnight rally, and then that NFP report this morning. Unemployment rate was at 4.2%. And then April non-farm private payrolls came in at 167,000 versus 125,000 consensus. So market like that data, and we trended pretty much all day and then just kind of chopped around that 5,700 spot. Today's keys, we're watching the S&P and the Qs versus the 2150. Green check there, same holding 5,500, and then awesome NFP reaction. Earnings reactions were pretty mixed, but no tape bombs. Some other ones like Duolingo closed up the day like 18%, breaking out into all-time highs. Really nice action there. Day count up 8 days above the 8, 7 days above the 21, and going into Monday's keys. Still watching the S&P versus those moving averages and levels, and then just leadership extended a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see if they start to pull back. We're going to be watching closely what that pullback looks like. Is it on low volume? Is it constructive? Is the dips being bought on the pullback? And that's just kind of, real time how we're analyzing some of the names, potentially looking for entries or trimming into strength. Sectors wise, 11 out of the 11 spider sectors were green today, along with semiconductors, regional banks, software, weakness, gold and silver. So pretty good breadth today, very broad. Pretty much everything was up on the day. GROTECTION today added to Hood, bought Tesla, took an offensive trim on QLD, and then sold Penumbra. That brought the RVAB up to 0.75 with 3.45% open heat. And then TurboTection bought Spotify and then added to the Hood position 0.59 beta, 4.82% open heat. Bottom line, S&P 500 marks its longest winning streak since 2004. And let's get into some charts of interest. So we'll start with the trades. Hood added to this one today. Kind of negative reaction on earnings, but the earnings were fantastic and just kind of pulled back into this cluster moving average support. And out of the gate, this one was really strong, super strong off the open, rallied up, pulled back in, closed mid-range. But, if this takes out those earnings days highs and this 50 level, this would be another spot to potentially add. Spotify for TurboTection, simple, breaking out of this nice double bottom base with volume. One of the best relative strength leaders in the market. You can see this right now. The stock acts awesome. So we'll see if this can fall through next week. Tesla, GROTECTION took a starter here, trying to get back above this 200-day moving average in this tight consolidation. Offensive trim on QLD, into the 200-day, nice gains, 3.2% above the 8, and a 22% move off the lows from that April 7th low. So never hurts to take some profits, and that was the reasoning for QLD. And then Penumbra, um, two things. One, this has just showed no relative strength since the buy. All the other buys are working, and this one was kind of the sore thumb. And then two, you know, this one trades pretty thin intraday. You can see here, not the easiest one to get out. So thought process there was get out when you can, not when you want to. And sometimes on down days, stocks on the edge of liquidity on the down day, sometimes that liquidity can dry up. And given the money that we're managing, liquidity is very important to us. So this was pretty much a break even. And that is the trades on the day. Let's take a look at the 21 over 21 list. Like I said, good action. I mean, Palantir, unbelievable. This is now April 7th was at 66. This is back to 124, back into those highs. Now, my expectation would be for this to handle out off the highs, but they have earnings in 3 days. So we'll see what this is pretty obviously the leader of the market, has the liquidity, has the fundamentals, has the theme, has the price action, has the volume. So we'll see what this one has in store for next week and earnings, and see is this just going to blast through this 125.41 previous high? Is it going to build a handle on earnings? That is all to be determined. Spotify, great action here. Just power through this pivot, double bottom base, nice volume. CRS, another one that GROTECTION owns, strong through this double bottom base pivot and 200 level. Awesome looking chart here. DoorDash, really nice. Earnings in 5 days. So this made it a little bit harder to buy, but again, same setup theme, breaking the pivot out of this double bottom base. Robinhood, see if this can crack through 50 with some volume next week and continue. Uber, this one, we own this in Turbo. This one continues to act really good. Excited for earnings in 5 days. Coming into this previous high at 87. Great fundamentals here. This has a 1 year long base, relative strength line, new high. So this one can break convincingly out of this base. Ideally, it's on an earnings gap. This one could see a really nice multi-week trend if the market stays friendly. GEV, again, super nice action, owned in both portfolios. Um, kind of, I got a similar message for most names. Many names are up 30, 40, 50% off that April 7th low. So two things, they can keep locking out to the upside, and that's why we have exposure, and that's why we trail winners. Let those be our guide. Don't need any guesswork to guess tops. Or two, these start to handle out. These allow ads to get some bigger size. Um, or they just can fail and we have stops. So open mind day by day in this market. But again, some of these names are a little bit extended, but we've seen extended can get even more extended. GWRE, Guidewire, breaking through this double bottom pivot. Tesla sitting, getting tight right at the 200-day. LNG getting tight right below this 236 spot. Carvana continues higher, 148 to 257 off that low. Awesome move. Handle would be nice on this one. 292.84 is those previous highs. Netflix, everyone wants this one. This one just continues to go higher every day. This one could start to trigger ants. We'll see next week, but this one, after that earnings reaction, after it broke through 1,000, has just been nonstop the whole way. CrowdStrike, another one. Want to see how it reacts to this 455, 59 spot. Some of these names are, on day 8, day 9 of this kind of uptrend. So we'll see. TKO, nice trend here. Zscaler, strong out of this base. Would love a retest or a handle here. As we've been mentioning, cybersecurity group has been very strong. Penumbra sold this one today. Boeing, starting to bring back to life. You can see these some of these numbers here on the right side of the screen. So this one gets back above 188, double bottom pivot. This one looks good. And, Boeing's kind of one is this could be a news failure, right? The over the past year, the news has just been unbelievably bad. I feel like every once a week or once a month there's a negative headline in the news about Boeing. So that's kind of dried up. It's resisted the urge to go lower. It's back above the 200-day, 50-day, and see if we can break out through this 188. And it's got some nice numbers looking forward. Chewy, another one, kind of choppy, but it's got a nice cup that is forming here. Bitcoin, talk about this one. TGTX, downside reversal today, but still looks fine. This one held up the best during the market decline. Take two. They delayed the release of GTA, and that's why it gapped down. So, we mentioned this with the team this morning that you just never know. This was one of the strongest stocks. This broke out. This was at highs when the market was 10, 15% off the highs. And once the market started bottom, this one broke out through 220. Yesterday closed at the highs and then it got negative news. So let that be a lesson that you just never know what can happen no matter what the stock is, no matter what the fundamentals are, no matter what the price action's like. You're not, no stock is immune to negative news, and you can see gap down pretty ugly on the open, rallied back up a little bit, but still this huge volume puts a blunder into this chart. But nevertheless, it was a extremely positive week for stocks, setting records on the indexes for 9 days up in a row. Leadership has been acting really good. We're seeing more themes across the board. DRS, this is just an aerospace and defense name. It's breaking out of a gorgeous base on earnings. GE, I got an alert on this one today, actually, another aerospace and defense name coming up the right side quite nicely. A little more speculative, but Rocket Lab back above all moving averages in this aerospace and defense theme. So, you have aerospace and defense, you have cybersecurity with CrowdStrike, um, and just, Netflix with big tech and some of these software names like ServiceNow. This one had a positive earnings gap. Palantir is the clear leader. SAP, super strong. Duolingo, another one on earnings. Look at this move up 21% on 204% above average volume, breaking out into all-time highs. I mean, what more can you ask for? Relative strength line, new highs. So some strength across the board. Then again, you do still have some landmines. WGS down 42% on earnings. You had GH, another one that was looking really good. This one rejected these highs and closed the day down 4.13%. And then Reddit, this one was very volatile. It was at 142 after hours on earnings and closed the day down 4%. So still no shortage of volatility, but super constructive action this week, getting above some key moving averages, some positive feedback from some of the leaders. So earnings season is just underway. So, excited for next week, excited to dive into some charts this week. As usual, Todd will have his weekend update so you can kind of see what we're thinking about going into next week. And as always, we'll be doing videos every day next week. So that is everything I've got for today. As always, love to hear from you guys. My email is connor@revereasset.com, or you can reach out to me on X at ConnorJBates_. Phone is 855 Real Wealth, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. We've protected the downside, and we're participating in the upside. So there is never a better time to become a Revere client. And we've been very busy onboarding a lot of new clients, and we always welcome anyone new. So appreciate everyone that watches the videos and supports. And that is going to wrap it. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend and see you guys next week.